Here's a picture, dear brothers and sisters, of old Luffy. He's looking nice. He's got his shirt flying open over there. I don't know if he's sucking on his thumb or he's just thumbing a ride, giving you a thumbs up. But if you like this drawing and more, remember to follow me on all them social networks, you hear? One Piece, Chapter 167, Battlefront. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and excellent and long-running tale of One Piece. We're actually starting up over here and have reached, it appears to be, Volume 19, ladies and gentlemen. So there you can get a good look at it here, and that's where we're starting up. Obviously, in the last volume, things kind of left off, certainly with Luffy convincing Vivi and the crew that they needed to go kick Crocodile's ass, and they were, of course, looking like they were going to head to Rainbase to do just that. We also know that Miss All Sunday was tasked with taking out Vivi and the Straw Hats as well, and that pretty much, Crocodile's plan was to try to keep Vivi from actually meeting with Koza, the leader of the rebels, because that would kind of derail and screw up his plans of complete Alabasta domination. So that's where we left off, and that's pretty much where we pick up in this. This really takes place in two separate parts over here, and what we wind up seeing in the first part is Luffy and company. They have declared that they are going to go north from where they are at. It's about a day's trek across the desert to get to Rainbase, because that's where Crocodile would be. Apparently there's not a lot of rebels there. Of course, they've got water. Vivi winds up thanking Luffy, just for everything that he's done and that he's continuing to do, and he just says, "Feed me," and that's all he wants. He says, when this is all over and we kick Crocodile's ass, just feed me until I can't move, until I explode. She's like, "Okay, great deal," So you wind up seeing a little bit of banter amongst some of the other Straw Hats over there. Usopp is trying to get some of Luffy's coveted water that was given to him by Todo, that was extracted from the wet sand, and Luffy's like, no, you can't have any, we can't waste a drop, and everybody's like, really, now you're being conservative? So there's also a little bit too where Nami's eyes start to go and flip like like they would in a slots machine, because she hears that Rainbase is also like a gambling den, with casinos and stuff like that. So we see a bit of that, and then as they're going to set off, we see also that Zoro mentions to Chopper that he's doing better now. We know that his skin was, just because of his fur, he was just getting real dry and pretty much screwed up there walking across the desert. He's a cold weather animal, makes sense. So really, other than that, there's just a little bit of banter too about how, of course, Nami and Vivi get to ride the camel, and they all have to walk behind. So the rest of the chapter, though, mainly takes place that there's a quick blurb where we wind up seeing, in Nanohana, which is very close to this Catarea, where the rebel base is. We see Koza and some of his troops, and there's a young boy who wants to join. And Koza is he's real, adamant and insistent upon joining. And Koza goes and he shows him one of his buddies that lost his hand in battle. And it's just a bloody stump, with a bandage wrapped around it. And he talks about the hospitals and the graves. And, basically he's like, we're scared. We don't want to fight. We just have to, And so the whole deal with that is that, he's the kid reminds him of him at a younger age, is what it is, because he basically just tells the kid, screw off, get out of here. He knows that the kid will wind up getting himself killed, but this young man is insistent upon joining up, and but like I said, Koza won't have anything of it. So the rest of the chapter, though, winds up taking place, and we're able to be introduced to, we see, of course, King Cobra, and then we see his number one and number two in charge, Igaram was actually his next in command, but obviously he's gone, and we presume to be dead now. So we wind up having Pell and Chaka, and we're introduced to these characters, and it looks to be as if one of them is a traitor, because they start talking about, first of all, and I'll get to that in a second, but first of all, King Cobra is sitting there, and he's talking about how, he's like, we can't just hit them back, and obviously it's in response to some kind of rebel attack or something like that. And they're like, yeah, but, you don't understand, sir. We have to do this, Your Majesty. And he goes, no, we're not going to go. The people are basically just confused. We're not going to kill our own people, So he's more or less saying, I don't want to fight back right now. We need to find out what the source of this problem is. Ever since, we were set up a few years ago for the whole, green powder thing or whatever that they had, that powder. That's kind of what, there's been somebody behind the scenes that's been kind of, poking the tiger. And they're like, yeah, but we don't know who it is and this and that. So we wind up getting, and he says, listen, we're not going to kill our own people. It's just not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. We also had found out that Koza plans on getting his guys together and marching north from where he's at. You have to look at the map, but basically you've got Koza in the southeast, and he's got to go north up to Alabarna, which is the capital. And and then you wind up having Luffy and them are going north from where they're at in the southwest to get to Rainbase. Carue winds up showing up during this whole altercation, and it's kind of cool because he shows up at the proper time, has the message that was delivered. Obviously, Vivi was the one who wrote it, and the king's like, man, this is really troubling. This is one of the 7 warlords. It's a government official. You know what I mean? That's going against us. I had no idea that it was someone like this. So obviously there's some hesitancy there because you're thinking, man, this is somebody it's going to be harder to screw with. He's a part of the world government, and we're going to certainly have to take him out. But there's a lot of things that you have to do as well and make sure that that's the right person. Blah blah blah. It's a shame that Igaram died, in service of protecting Vivi, and then Carue, they go and they think that the little armband that he's got on, that they all put on so they wouldn't get mistaken for Mr. 2, being able to imitate them or whatever. They think that there's something wrong with them, and Pell or Chaka goes to check it out, and he's like, whoa, and he starts freaking out. The king, though, ultimately, he winds up saying, as soon as he finds out that this is Sir Crocodile, that they are Rainbase, blah, blah, or maybe that's where he presumes that they'll be, he says, you know what, get the Royal Army, prepare the Royal Army, we're going to go west to Rainbase. So now they're up northeast, right, and they've got the rebels on the way to Alabarna to try to take the capital, okay, which his guys are trying to tell him, and he's like, I don't care about this palace, I told you. He goes, I don't even care if the rebels want to take it. I need to take out the source of the problem. So he wants to go and shoot over west here to take out Crocodile and his henchmen and Rainbase. They've got something with this Operation Utopia that's going on in like 17 hours, starts at 7 a.m. the next day. And then, of course, we've got Luffy and company in the Straw Hats, and they show us in this nice, convenient 3-part map. But basically, everybody's going after each other, and it looks like Luffy and Vivi and the Straw Hats are going to wind up coming together at Rainbase at the same time the Royal Army does. Now, the reason I said that it looks like one of these guys is a traitor, and I believe it's Chaka, is that these guys are introduced, and you see as the king's going and saying about how we're going to march on here, and this is where we're going to go. They're like, yeah, but your Majesty, the army really, or the people basically love Sir Crocodile, okay, because of everything he's been doing in the public as a show of good faith, stopping all these pirates and all this nonsense, right? It's one of those type of things where get the people on your side, and look what's going to happen. Good things will happen for you. So. But the king's adamant. He says, no, get the Royal Army ready. We're marching. I don't give a shit what people think about it. This is what we're doing. This is the root of the problem, right? It's the cause of the problem. So we do obviously get that. They're going to get ready and sail up to move, but we wind up getting his, like I said, I believe it was his second in command or whatever his name is. It was Chaka. You see that kind of this like word bubble as if he's talking to himself in his head, and he's like, the king's will is stronger than we thought. So I'm thinking that he works either for the rebels or he's like an undercover, Baroque Works agent or something like that that's infiltrated. I mean, who knows? I really don't at this point. But ultimately, that is how things, kind of wrap up over here. The first chapter was not, and I think there's 10, I believe, in this one. We were treated to 11 in the last volume. I believe in this one, though, I'm pretty sure that it's only 10. But really, the chapter ends up with pretty much just showing us that map that I was speaking of, and that kind of map showing there where everybody is, in fact, going to and heading off to. Oh, did I even show it there? Yeah, and it's showing, where Koza and his rebels are heading north to Alabarna. They're heading west. Luffy's heading west. So some shit's going to go down over here. However, I know that this is a longer arc, and I'm certainly not expecting anything major to happen or final anytime soon. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth. We still have to find out what this Operation Utopia is all about, and then certainly too, it's not just Crocodile. He has a number of formidable allies with him as well, and just certainly looking forward to seeing how that's going to go down. So that's how we wrap things up over here. The chapter question that I have is going to be something as simple as these first and second in command that you have, this Chaka and Pell. Would you, because I'm not real familiar with just obviously manga and One Piece and Shonen and all this other stuff and how these things are done. it seems like every bad guy we're introduced to has like a first and second in command, sometimes even a third in command. Like Arlong had like 3 kind of lieutenants. Are these two guys, Chaka and Pell, are they similar and along the lines of those? Like King Cobra is actually a force to be reckoned with. He's not just a figurehead. He can actually kick some ass too. Is that what's going on? And then, of course, these next 2 in command, they're actually formidable as well. Or are these guys just kind of like background side characters that are pretty much don't have anything special about them except for working in the palace? So that is my question. If you could certainly leave the answer to that in the comments down below. Really just wanted to know along the lines of significance wise, are these guys similar to like a boss's lieutenants, first and second in command? So feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, nation. As always, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for watching the videos and sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing, spreading the word of the nation. Here's a picture of the old burr in my ass from the Baratier Arc Krieg.